Okay. So Palishri had come back yesterday with some questions, and the reason I did not answer is because I felt that these were very important questions, and I wanted to answer this for the entire group. Right? Okay. Now, how to create another column of percentage of sales? I'll be answering that. I want to know the DAX formulas, like what to write when creating a new measure for percentage of sales. The first thing you need to understand is that do not overcomplicate it. Do not use a complex feature or a complex process when a simple one could have done it. Why am I saying that? Because percentage of sales you can actually get without using a DAX measure. So there is no need for using a DAX measure. While I will talk about DAX measures as well, do remember that percentage of sales we can get even without it. While creating the calendar after writing the DAX formula of calendar max order date and min order date, it is showing invalid. I'm not sure, Palishri, if you're there or not, but the reason is that it has to be first the minimum order date and then the maximum order date, right? So the range has to be from the minimum to the, you're there. So it is from the minimum to the maximum. The order is wrong, right? Min order date, comma, max order date. When I created a table of profit and category of particular data, and after that I converted it into percentage, and I tried to use a filter for separating other data and click to get that one particular category, it is converting the data into 100% instead of showing me the particular data percentage. This question is not clear. See, like the consulting workshop that I conducted, if I go back to that, how you ask questions, right, is also very important. For example, I'm doing a project with Adani right now, okay? And I want to show you their email that came to me. Do you see this? This is what came from Adani to me, explaining what their requirements are. So if I can just scroll down, I think I've already shown this to you earlier, but nevertheless, I'll show it once again. When I was pitching my services, my Power BI and VBA training to Adani Transmission, I did not send them just an email with 5 bullet points in it with no heading, no objective, no breaks in it. It has to be broken down as per a flow. If you remember the proposal, the RFP, why did we cover all those topics? The business requirement document. So I first have an objective, then I have the outline, then I have a simple chart that tells me what the process is. Then there is the commercial, and then there is a table of content. Like Adani came back to me yesterday with some questions. So they have said that, Havish, can
Sir,
you?
you haven't shared your screen yet.
Oh, I'm sorry. One second. Okay. Let me do that once again. So I did a lot of homework to figure out why is it that only with your screen sharing I have this problem with the screen flickering. As it turns out, I did 2 to 3. I had 2 trainings yesterday and 1 meeting, and I did not have the problem any other place. Anyway, let's see the outline. Look at this. So if you look at the outline, you notice that there was a structure created, right? So rather than simply telling them that I will do a 30 hours training on Excel and Power BI, in which I'll be covering user forms, calculations, and workflow automation, I created this entire thing. Why do you think that was necessary? Adani has come back to me with some changes required. Look at the way they have drafted the email. They have said that, Havish, this is with reference to the training schedule you have shared. You may please incorporate the following additional details. Then they have said, also please share your plan on covering the following aspects. So they have put a number, and then they have written down all the points in an order which makes sense. So they have started with the questionnaire based on the sessions covered. Why is the questionnaire not the last point, and why is it the first point? Because the questionnaire would be the first thing that we talk about, right? Similarly, whenever and do you notice that none of these points are very long? Whenever you write an email, so going back to, I'm just taking literally your example because that is the most recent email that I have, right? So the first thing that you notice here that it's too long, right? The questions are too long. Also, imagine this as a consultant. If you send an email to somebody with grammatical mistakes or typographic errors, not that it matters. It is not that I got confused. Why is there a question mark followed by a full stop? But you have to hold yourself to a very high level, saying that, you know what, I will make sure. See, mistakes happen all the time. I have made mistakes as well. Sometimes I forget to put an attachment, or sometimes I forget to put a point. The only goal is that I try to reduce that as much as possible. If I tell you that in the last 5 years of consulting, I have never made a mistake on an email, I would be lying, right? But yes, if the email is super important, I will always try and make sure that I double check it and triple check it and quadruple check it as many times as required. It's very boring, right, to read the same email multiple times, but I do it. That's very, very important. Okay. Also, if you look at the third point, it's too long. The question is just going on and on and on and on and on. So ideally, it should be broken down into different steps. Also, since you already tried to make a Power BI dashboard, you should have put a screenshot, right? Telling me in this case that, this is what I tried to do and it's not working for me. And nobody did that. See, this is my job, right? So I'm not critiquing you. I'm telling you this is how it is expected from you, right? So you have to, whenever you're dealing with the faculty or an industry mentor or in a summer internship, never ever send something, right? Just like this as points. Nobody has the time. If you look at my calendar, I have an exceptionally busy calendar. Look at my month of August, right? So the point is, never ever apologize. This is again one very important thing that we teach in consulting. Never ever apologize. What is the point of apologizing? When you apologize, you're basically telling the other person that, this is actually not a very important thing I'm asking you, but I apologize for the fact that, you have to spend your time. Why? How should you spin it? You should say that, I understand this might take you some time, but I really appreciate your help on this. See, that is a more positive way of putting it. That makes me feel better when you say that I would really need your help on this, or I tried, but I could not get the answer, or I appreciate if you can take out some time on this. That way I feel that, oh, I feel nice because I feel that, okay, my time being spent is going to help you. Your apology to a client never matters, right? You can go to a client and apologize the entirety. The client doesn't care about such things, right? Appreciation, genuine appreciation is very important, right? That is why you notice there are so many courses on things like business writing as well. I think Sanjay might have covered a little bit of this. Why do you think people go and learn how to do business writing? Don't they know how to write in a professional business setting after spending 10 years in the corporate? The reason for that is because there are small things that you have to learn, right? And like Sanjay told you, you don't even have to buy and complete the course. I'll tell you what I do. I just open a course, whichever has a good rating, and I would just scroll through and see what are the topics that they have covered. Do you see this? Do you see the lecture content, everyone? At least this way, what will happen is I know that, okay, these things are important in a business setting. And maybe I can learn it from some other resource, from a free YouTube video, or from a website, or from a peer, or from a senior, or from a faculty, whatever it is. But at least I realize that, okay, people around the world, especially when they are in consulting or any other corporate profile, this is the things that are important to them. So small things like when to use semicolon or a colon, right? um, what are the common grammar mistakes that you can avoid, right? So we usually call them as weak words and phrases, right? Weak words means that it is not incorrect, but they could have been a better word that you can use. I'll give you a very simple example here. I know I'm spending some time on this, but this is important as well. Let's say I wrote an email saying that, okay, let's say you wrote a simple 2-line email saying, I would like your help with this problem and I will highly benefit from it. What you can do is you can simply select any word, let's say benefit, right click and click on synonyms. Now, what it does is it basically gives you synonyms, right? So it tells you that there are these alternate words that you can use. They're not an exact copy in the sense that the meaning might change a little bit, but it's a very good idea to use this, right? Because otherwise, what happens is when you open the thesaurus, you see that there are so many different words that they have given, and I can also look at any other word, let's say problem, and I can see at the synonym, I can see that there are slightly different words that have been given here. Now, do you and I not know that there are words like setbacks, drawbacks, glitch, hindrance, obstruction? These are not new words. We all know, we are all smart enough to be aware of these words. But what happens is that when you're in a hurry and you're writing, we don't remember such things. No? Who remembers such fancy words? But fancy words are required if they are relevant to what you're talking about. You're not putting words for the sake of it, but if you feel that, rather than saying a problem, maybe I can say a hindrance. Don't all of you feel that a hindrance is a much better word here? Because a problem basically is a very negative tone. You're telling somebody I have a problem. But when you say there is a hindrance, you are telling a person that I can't go beyond this point. I'm stuck somewhere. And that is how these small things have to be kept in mind. Right? I hope I'm making sense. I'm sure all of you would have heard of this company called Grammarly. Right? It's a free add-in. It is available on Google Chrome. It is available on Microsoft Office. I strongly suggest that all of you should have a look at this. I have personally not used it. Why? I don't know. I feel that I want to learn from my own mistakes, right? So that is how I am. But Grammarly, I have used it a little bit. I've seen other people use it. A lot of companies are using it, and it is fantastic. It just does not enable you to not make spelling mistakes, but it also enables you to write better, right? So if you have written something, and if let's say the phrasing of the words is not the best, it will suggest to you that, what, I think you should change it. Obviously, grammar and typographic errors, it will fix automatically, right? So I'll just share this link with you. This is something I think all of you should be working on, right? I mean, there's no reason for not using it. It is not cheating. As long as you look at it and you still learn what they are doing and why they are doing it, I think you will benefit immensely from it. Okay. Let me quickly answer this question that has been asked. So how do I answer this? Let me open the Power BI file that we created. So SRCC final batch files week 2, batch 1 and SRCC. Okay. So yeah, so the question was that you want to create a percentage of sales as as a column, right? So this is how you would do it. I will just create a new table in which we will keep our sales value, right? Watch carefully. I'm putting the sales value 2 times. So the same value is being duplicated. So I have 1 crore 26 lakh 42,501. Let's put the market as well. And you can make this into a matrix as well. Here also you can have 2 values. How do you change it to a percentage? Simply click on the drop down and there is an option that is show the value as percentage of column total. Okay. So what is it doing? It's telling you Africa is 7.83 lakhs and Africa is 6.2%. Yes, it could have been done using a DAX measure as well. But then in this case, you should ask yourself, do I really need a measure? If you look at the learning path, right, that I have already shared with all of you, what is the learning path for Excel? You have the learning path. What is the learning path for Power BI? You first learn data analytics and visualization. You should be very, very good with this. After doing this, then you have to do Power Query, right? And after doing Power Query, then you have to do DAX. Do not go to DAX right now because see, DAX is the toughest topic in Power BI. And even if you feel, but sir, I want to learn it, I am willing to take up the challenge. It doesn't make a lot of sense because you first want to learn the basics, right? Otherwise, you will not learn DAX very well. So that is my strong suggestion that I would give you. Please focus on basic Power BI. When I say basic, it doesn't mean simple Power BI. I mean the basics of Power BI, how to create visualizations, how to connect charts together, how to make a tooltip. After you have done that, go to Power Query, right, which I did for you. That is the Excel course. And finally, you can go to the DAX course. That is the, that is what I would suggest you, the learning path that you should be following. Okay. This I had already answered. The calendar max and min should actually be min and max. So very quickly, if I go back to Power BI and I create a new table, I can say that my table is equal to, let me increase the size as well. My table is equal to calendar, minimum of my order date, comma, maximum of my order date. Like this, right? Now see, if you make a mistake, for example, you put the max before and then the min, DAX is not smart enough to detect that this is the type of mistake that you made. But if you observe carefully, you will notice that there are these arguments, right? When I put calendar and I open the parentheses, it tells me that first the starting date will come and then the end date will come. Obviously, the starting date will be the older date, that will be the minimum, and the end date will be the latest date, that will be the maximum. So you should always pay attention to the arguments that you're getting. And this will be true for any formula that you're writing, right? Do you see this? Whatever you write, whether you're writing calculate, you notice that you're getting this. If I write something like date add, now also it tells me there are three arguments: the date, the number of interval, and the interval, right? Like this. Yeah, this third thing is not clear. So Palishi, maybe you can just send me the file that you created and I will come back. That's what about 7-8 students did. They sent me the file and I sent them back the solution, right? So that is the way I would request all of you to work. See, the only thing is that during the day, um, I am completely caught up, right? Because I'll have trainings or meetings or other things. Usually, if you want to call me, it would be better to call after 10 p.m. That is when I'm usually free. I mean, I'm still working, but I'm free. I'm free from other client calls and all. Also, the reason I even, in fact, texted some of you, don't call me directly. First, you send me an email, and there is a reason for that. See, to me, do you think it's faster to reply to an email? Not at all. For me, a call is faster, right? The reason I'm requesting all of you and suggesting to you to send an email is because when you send an email, you will realize that even drafting the email is not that easy. Did you see that? All of you who tried to send me an email, did you see it was not that easy to explain the problem? And that is something you have to learn. You can't learn that from me, or you can't learn that in a book or in college. That is something you will learn from experience. The more emails that you write, the better you will understand how to go about it, right? Just one last example to show you how these professional emails are drafted. Do you see this? What is the context that is not important? This is a project with, you know Anubhav, right? Already. And you know Sanjay as well. So Ritesh is the CFO of Allianz Partners. And look at the way I've drafted the email. Look at the small things. I say, hi, Ritesh. Then I make the heading very bold in a different color. Why? So that he very clearly understands that, okay, this is not just a normal sentence. This is Havish telling me that this is what the questions will be discussed, right? So then I've written, what is the core functionality of the custom software? Do you see I have written M in capital, S in capital, C in capital, and W in capital? So that is how I highlight. How do you tell the user to pay attention to a certain thing? Now, you can't put an arrow and say that this is important, this is less important, this is more important, right? How do you do that? By using underline, bold, changing the color, changing the text size, putting spaces, right? So you notice that I have underlined this part. Why? Because I wanted to tell him very clearly that we will also give a demonstration of our existing completed projects. The proposed date and time I wrote in a different color so that he doesn't miss out on that. This part is very important, right? So if I kept the black color, it would be very easy for the person to miss out on it. Then I wrote what we understand so far. Right? So I've written that processes are repetitive and consistent. Solution should not require. Do you notice that none of these points are very long? In an email, you're not supposed to write long sentences. You're supposed to write short sentences. Look at the way I'm asking my question. I've written some questions, then I've written all the questions like this. But look what I did. Before writing the questions, I said, what have we understood so far? That is how you guys should also tell me. You should say that this is okay. We are comfortable. We were able to make this, but this is a problem. See, otherwise, what happens is if you tell me, sir, can you answer these three questions? I don't even know if you have understood the other topics or not. And see, for me, what is it that I require from your side, right? If you tell me that yes, we have understood these topics, that makes me happy, right? What else do I want? But for you guys to learn, right? So the moment you verify and validate that, so this is what we have already done. I'm sharing a screenshot with you. I feel happy knowing that, okay, you are able to handle this on your own. And then you say that, okay, but I have a few questions, so I'm not able to solve this. Like, right? And then I've also written after this meeting, what will be the next plan of action like this. I hope this helps everyone in terms of how emails are drafted, right? Any questions, anyone?
Excuse me, sir.
Tell me.
Hello.
I'm listening. Tell me.
So the chart you have created. Hello.
I'm listening. Tell me.
Yes, sir. Sir, on this column, I mean on this table, after I tried to use filter, like I wanted to only have the data of Africa first, and I wanted to erase all the data. So I used the filter and I clicked on Africa. That's it. And when I click on it, it converts into only 100%. It doesn't show the 6.20% cell. Yes, sir, like that.
Because I've kept both the values, no? See, I've kept the sales value as well. I kept the percentage as well.
But I wanted only 6.20%. That's why I was asking how to do that.
You can't do that. That is not possible. Because this is a calculation that is running on the table. So when you select Africa and Asia Pacific, for example, why is it showing 16 and 83? Because there are only two markets that you're looking at, right? It is not possible to do that.
Thank you, sir. And
Because see, right now in my table, there is only one. I mean, there are ways of doing this using DAX measures, but otherwise you can't just click on a button and make that happen. That would not be possible.
okay, sir. Sir, about creating the percentage cell, I actually tried on this way, like the way you have done here. And after that, I was trying to know about the DAX Formula One because I wanted to create the new column at that specific place. That's why I was trying
See,
it.
like I said, whenever you try to do something, you should always send it across. Because if you send it to me, then I would have already looked at it. I would have seen what is a mistake you made, or maybe something that could have been done differently. You tried to write the DAX, even if it was not working correctly, you could have at least sent it across so that I could have seen that, okay, this is what you attempted to do. That's why I'm telling you, see, you guys will not know this thing, which is completely okay. I'm not saying why don't you know this. Of course, you're supposed to know this. After 1 year of MBA, if we engage again, right, for a project or something, and you still make the same mistake, then I'll be a little upset thinking that you have not learned from what I told you. Right now, this is just information that I'm giving to you, and you have to keep it in mind. I'll just quickly give you the example. So if you want to see only for Africa, what you'll have to do is, I will say, um, quick measure. No, I will say new measure. We will have to say only Africa is equal to um, so calculate the sum of sales for Africa divided by calculate sum of sales for all market. Is that what you wanted?
Sir. Yes, sir. So actually, I missed one point. The all orders compact market. And I wrote calculate sum order. The other things I have written positively. I remember.
Right.
Thank you.
Okay. Great. So even though I don't want to get into details right now, because like I said, DAX is something you should learn only after 2-3 months after learning all the foundation of Power BI. But still, since I've done it, let me tell you what we are doing. We are saying that calculate the sum of sales, right? Now, what is the sum of sales? It is 7,83,000. But I'm dividing it by the sum of sales for all the markets. Obviously, when I look at all the markets, what is the answer? It is 1 crore 26 lakhs. So when I divide 7.83 by 1.26, I will get 6 like this. Or rather, let me just change it to a percentage. 6.2%, right? And whenever I select others, it will always tell me the contribution of, let's say, these three. Right?
Excuse
Three.
me, sir. Uh, sir, if you use total instead of sum, it can actually wrong the formula. That's what I got to know, sir. This kind of mistakes, like all or total, like there are some of other formulas I would like to know. How to know that thing, sir? I would like to know that.
In DAX.
Yes, sir.
But again, that's what I'm trying to tell you. Why are you in such a hurry? I spent 2 years working with Power BI before I even started working on DAX. You guys can't be in a hurry. You have to understand there is a structure to things, right? So, for example, if I start teaching you finance, will I start teaching you the stock market before teaching you the basics of accounting? Of course not, right? So you have to go in an order, because if you learn DAX directly without learning the foundation, then there will be a lot of gaps in your knowledge, right? So you should, like I suggested, you should spend at least 2 to 3 months completing the course, maybe not just one time, but making sure every single thing you understand. Then you should do Power Query. After that, you should do DAX. DAX is not something you should do right away.
Sorry for interrupting, but I wasn't hurrying at all. I was just trying to make it right. That's what I
That
just
is
tried.
great.
That's
See,
it.
no, absolutely. See, hold on. There is absolutely nothing wrong with trying. I'm very happy that you are putting in the time and effort to try it. But I'm also going to balance that, okay? For example, if I try a very difficult challenge without having the foundation, and then I get irritated thinking, why am I not able to solve it? That means I'm in too much of a hurry, right? You have to make sure that your foundation is clear first. I'm very happy that you're trying this, but don't think that this has to be completed right now. First, the foundation has to be done. Like I'm telling you, you have to spend at least 2 to 3 months on the basics of Power BI and Power Query. Only after that, you should do that. For now, forget that there is something like DAX, right? Because the moment you try to complicate things too much and mix everything, it is only going to get more difficult for you.
Okay, sir. Got
All
it,
right,
sir.
great. Um, all right, so I want to start with PowerPoint now. Any question before that anybody else has?
I want to ask you a question.
Yep.
Actually, I want to share my screen. I was trying to form something, some kind of visuals on the dashboard, and I want to ask about colors. It's a very silly question, but I share my screen. I was trying to put the colors in this too, but I was not able to do so. And even if I click on these, the colors are getting changed like this.
Now, what is it that you're trying to do?
I was trying to put the colors in this too, sales by year, sales category.
You want to change the blue color to a different color.
Yes.
Yeah, so just click on the visual
Visuals. Yes.
and go to format, select data colors and change the color. That's it.
I did the same, but okay. Thanks. Thank you.
All right. Okay, let me see the question once. A moment. problem with my screen sharing. I'm sorry, can you just put the question once again? My chat window got erased. I don't know why. Or you can just unmute yourself and tell me. There was some question about the final presentation. Oh, I've got it. Never mind. So about the final presentation, what are the expectations? Like if you are simply to create a scatter plot for a data set and it shows a certain trend or pattern, is the goal simply making visuals like making different graphs? Or I would, Ankit, see, the idea is for you to derive insights from it, right? Deriving insights does not mean that you have to create a one-page report, but if you're creating a scatter chart, right? And you say that in the scatter chart, I'm plotting sales versus profit. So I will ask you, do you notice any interesting pattern in this? Does it make sense? Does this sound feasible? That you have made a scatter chart. You should also know what the scatter chart is presenting, isn't it? Like, it's not that randomly you're choosing a chart and saying, okay, this looks very nice, let me make it. No. If you're making a chart, there has to be some reason behind it. That's all. I'm not going to cross-question you too much. Why did you do it and all that? But generally, I'm curious. So, for example, the visual that Vishal showed to me just now, right? So just giving you a teaser. When you show me the visual, I'm definitely going to ask you, why did you choose these three colors? Now, you can't just say that because I felt they were nice. Remember, I did a session on colors for you, where I showed you that there are different brands that have different color. I will do it once again today in the PowerPoint session, where I showed you that different brands have different colors, brandcolors.net. So when you're putting different colors, don't you feel that you should also be looking at some pattern? For example, look at Airbus. There are different shades of blue that they are using. So this makes sense rather than randomly choosing different colors, which might not look very good on a report. Okay. Even in groups, everybody has to make 10 dashboards. Absolutely, Pawan. So even if you're working in a group, you have to make 10 dashboards, but I would expect that you will come up with not with more dashboards, but with a more detailed output, because more people are working on it. Okay. Puneet, we have to create a PPT or we have to present from, see, I want you to present on Tableau or Power BI. You can pick one. PPT, I don't want because PPT is actually not that difficult. Number one reason. Number two, you will be using PPT a lot during your MBA. All the college projects that you will be giving will be on PowerPoint. So there is no point doing a PowerPoint again because you will get so much practice. Right? That's why I want you to work on Power BI or Tableau. Also, you guys have a group, right? For all those, I will also be sending an email today. For all of the students who have joined in the last 1 week or 10 days, who have missed out on the initial part, I suggest that you can work with some other group. That is one option. And I'm happy to give you an extension, right? But don't take this extension for granted. I want to give you more time. I will give you, let's say, another 2 weeks so that you can catch up with all the missed topics. But don't take it for granted and feel that, okay, now for 30 days I can relax and I only have to work one night before the final submission, right? Don't do that. Right? Anything else, anyone? Any other question?
I have a question.
Yep.
Can I share my screen for that?
No, I would really request if it is possible for you to maybe take a screenshot and send to me on the chat window. The only reason is because my screen just crashes completely if I stop my screen sharing, if it's okay with you.
So in that case, I will mail you the thing.
No, why don't you take a screenshot and send it to me?
Because I mean there are 2-3 things. Means the data is from different sites, and I have to explain
then
that.
If it's a personal question, you can send me an email and I will reply to you on the email. Right?
Okay, sure.
So can I show you an example of a presentation I want it to be? I will not. Even if I could, I would not. Because if I show you what I expect, everybody will do the same thing. And that defeats the purpose, isn't it? But if you want different ideas, what you can do is you can go to Power BI, Data Stories Gallery. Let me open it. You can go to Power BI, Data Stories Gallery. And what do you see here? You see different types of dashboards that have been created. You can use these for ideas, right? Similarly, you have the Tableau Public Gallery. Here also you will find hundreds of different ideas of different types of dashboards. Now see, some of these might be very difficult and you might not know how to make them. That's okay, right? But at least maybe one idea from here, one idea from there, you can do that, right? I hope that helps. But there is no perfect answer that is there, Sumit, that, oh, this is the perfect dashboard and this is exactly what I wanted. That's not the point, right? Dashboards are not like science where you say that you have to write the perfect formula and you have to create the perfect chart. It is completely up to your creativity, up to you how you end up creating a visualization. Right? Siddhant, I don't know if this has been asked before, but how do we remove the blank option from filter in Power BI on the filter? So very quickly. So let me open SRCC. So let's say you have kept a slicer with my market, even though it does not have any blanks right now. Oh, there is a blank. Perfect. So there is a blank here. If I want to remove that, just open up filter. And in the market, you can simply say that I want to select everything except blank. That's all. Right? So very easy. That's all you have to do. Okay. Hold on. There are a few other questions. Smita, need clarification on this, but broadly the assignment is this: create a Power BI or a Tableau dashboard with 10 visualizations. You will be given 8 minutes to present the dashboard, highlighting options. Absolutely. That is what I would expect you to do. For example, let's say, let's switch it, okay? Rather than you presenting to me, let's say I'm presenting to you. So this is what I would do. I'm going to go to my dashboard. This is exactly how I would be presenting myself to a client, and this is what I would expect you to present to me, something like this. I would say that, hello everyone. Today I'm going to present an HR dashboard. There is only one sheet that I've created, but there are different types of analysis that we have done. The data is a fictitious data for an organization where we have 1,470 people, and we are looking at the gender diversity between men and women. We are looking at the years at the company, which is between 0 and 40. We are also looking at the department-wise gender diversity, and we're looking at the number of companies that all the employees have worked in the past. The first and the biggest number for an organization in HR is to look at the total expense. That means, what is the total salary that is being paid out every year? And that amount is $10 million. The average hourly rate for all the people is 65.89. There are 1,470 people. The average age of employees across the organization is 36.92, so about 37 years. And the average income is $6,500. If I look at men, the average age of men in the organization is 36.65 and women is 37.33. So on an average, women are a little older than men. In terms of headcount, men are 882 and women are 588. So there is a little bit of gender disparity in the organization. So we don't have a 50-50 split between men and women. Now, when we look at the department-wise gender diversity, you will notice that in R&D, the split is 39, so about 40-60. In sales, it is 42-57. HR, it is 31-68. So interestingly, HR has the worst gender diversity because only 31% people are women and 68% people are men. So more than 2/3 of people are men. And if I look at people who have been with the company for more than 20 years, that would be senior leaders, it is even worse, right? So if I look at senior leadership, so if I look at vice president and above, you will see that only 14% are women and 85% are men. Does it give you an idea, everyone? This is how I would like you to present. Okay. So the idea is that I'm not just saying, this is my dashboard. I created 3 charts and see how I can click on everything. No, you have to tell me what is everything. What is total income? What is hourly rate? Tell me something interesting. Like, isn't this interesting that if I look at senior employees, only 14% are women and 85% are men. That is so bad, right? From an organization viewpoint, there is such a big gender disparity between them, right?
Sir,
Tell me.
do we need to prepare 10 dashboards per individual or like as a whole team?
See, if you're working as a team, then you'll be also creating 10 dashboards, but there is no limit that you have to make 10. I said at least 10. If you want, you can make more than that, right? I would expect so. If you're working as a group of 4 people, then of course I would not expect you to make 10. I mean, it would be nice for you to make more than that. But again, remember, it is not the quantity. I want quality. You make 10 dashboards, but really good ones, something that looks really nice. I would prefer that rather than making 25 charts, which are the same chart over and over again of the same type. Right? Like if you look at my dashboard right now, do you see everything is different? Look at this, it's different to this, it is different to this. Like you can look at this political dashboard here, right?
So we can't use icons in our version of Power BI.
You can't use icons.
Yeah.
Why can't you use icons? These are images. Simply insert an image.
No, we can use images, but I like in Excel we have small icons.
No. You don't have icons here. You'll have to insert images only.
Okay.
Yeah. Icons are not there. You have to insert images. Please ask me. If you still have any question, please ask me. And remember, next 3 days I'll be available, right? So it's not that I'm saying, okay, bye today, I will see you next on Saturday. Not at all. Next 3 days, if you have any questions, if there's something you're not sure about, if you want to check with me that is this what you wanted or have I misunderstood, you're more than welcome to reach out to me.
Excuse me, sir.
Yeah.
Sir, well, we are using small multiples, like the grid layout is 3 and 2 and 4 and 2, like that was. After creation of a chart, can we separate the charts like from
No,
one place
no,
to another place?
No, not possible.
Like dragging, we can do that, sir?
No,
Okay, sir. Thank you, sir.
it remains how it is. You can't change that. Okay.
Excuse me, sir.
Yes.
Sir, if we are working on a group and everyone has made 3 dashboards, then how do we compile the work?
That's okay. It doesn't matter. You can present to me 3 different dashboards. I'm okay with that.
Okay.
But I mean, I understand your point. It's a
Yes,
good
sir.
point that if 3 people are working, how do you combine everything? You can't, honestly. So you can present it separately. I'm okay with that. That's not a problem.
Okay, thank you.
Nikhil has texted me. He'll be doing a session on sustainability. So let me quickly reply to him. All right. Let me show you one last thing. I'm doing a training for Adani and I was preparing the content. I just want to show you what is the process that I follow. Even before I'm preparing the content on Power BI and VBA, Visual Basic, what I'm doing is I'm creating a structure, which is what I started doing yesterday. Do you see this, everyone? So I said that, okay, first I want to explain them the interface. Then I will take a few examples from these links. Then I will tell them the basics. Then I'll do a message box. Then I'll do an input box. Then I'll do a loop. Does it make sense? So when you decide that, okay, I have to give a presentation to Havish sir on Saturday, and of course he has told us we have to make 10 different visuals. How do you decide what to make? You can't just say, okay, let's make the first one, then we'll make the second one, and then we'll make the third one without any rhyme or reason. There has to be some logic to it. No? So before that, you have to say, okay, we should definitely use the tooltip. We should definitely use the filter, right? And like this, you should have some 3-4 must-have things which you definitely want to use. And then when all of you discuss, especially if you're working in a group, somebody will say, okay, I think this is a good idea. Somebody else might say, no, I think this is a better idea. So also remember that creating a dashboard doesn't mean just opening Power BI and working on it, right? There's a lot of background research, like going to the website, which I showed you earlier. You'll have to go to websites. You have to get different ideas from these websites, right? Look at how different each dashboard is, right? Like, look at this one. I really like this. I've already taught you how to make 3 different maps on Tableau. Remember, that's the first example we did. Just see how nice this looks. I'm not saying that you will know how to create it exactly, but at least it's an idea that you're getting, right? How to do all this. Right? And you'll find hundreds of dashboards available. Even this one is nice. Look at this, everyone. It's very clean. What do we have here? We have 4 different charts, but the way they have been aligned with each other, it's so clear, right? I have Lok Sabha, Rajya Sabha, male representative in Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha. So clear. Then I've also kept a line here. I hope all of you remember this. This is called the constant line, which I taught you in Power BI, right? So that's what I'm saying. When you look at different ideas, different examples, you will get a lot of ideas. Look at this one. I really like this. It's so simple. There is nothing very special about it. Column chart, bar chart, area chart, line chart. But look at the way it has been presented. There are 4 paragraphs written. Right? There are multiple charts. This is not small multiple. They have actually created multiple charts like this. Great. All right. So when it comes to PowerPoint, I have already given you the courses. So you have one course on the basics of PowerPoint and one course on the mastering of PowerPoint. How to create very high quality slides, right? But the purpose of today, me spending time with you, is to tell you a lot of different websites. I will be sending everything to you over an email as well, but you should still write it down if you feel it is important. The very first, and I think the most important thing to learn and remember when you're working with PowerPoint is canva.com. Has anybody used this website earlier? Just give me a yes. Some of you might have. You have? Okay. So Shashank, you haven't. Nikita, Ashpreet, Puneet, you have? Okay. Canva, everyone, is an Australian company. There is a lady called Melanie Perkins, who's the CEO of Canva, and she's one of Australia's youngest billionaires now. Right? Canva is basically a design website. For those of you who have not worked on it, it's a design website, and it has everything. Literally, it has everything. You want to make a logo, you can type a logo, and you can create logos. And these are all editable. A lot of people don't realize that. They think, but okay, the logo is there, but what if I want to change the color or increase the size or something? Everything is possible, right? Just to give an example, let's say I select a logo and I feel I don't like this blue color. So you can just change the color like this. Then you feel, no, this part, I want to increase the size. Just increase the size. Okay. Then you feel, why is it white? Maybe I want to keep a slightly interesting color. Let's say a red. Do you see this? If you want to make 2 of them, just copy this and put one. It's beautiful. It's so easy to work with. And obviously, if I write Havish M Consulting, for example, what Canva also gives you is the ability to select some very interesting font. Look at the types of fonts available here. These are not available on PowerPoint, right? Let me, it's still opening.